there's an English speaker.
Like at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just.
The thing is that Butler never like he never forwards any of the he never forwards the invitations for the the testing.
Okay.
So I at least we have to ask him like on Flowdoc if it's possible if he can send us, because the code changes all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why it would be nice to.
It's a daily code.
Yeah.
I sent him an invitation. But I cannot send it to like everybody because I don't know who's going to come. I just quickly check.
If there's nothing, that's okay. I mean,
Pisteellisessä standardin.
I mean,
on Wednesday.
let us know
Okay.
if you're coming here, or then we will see you obviously.
Yeah.
But if you're watching the live stream, then let us know. So we will do it in the email. But in case no one says that this wants to be in English, we're gonna do it in English.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. So it's just easier for the users.
Yes.
It's thinking out loud. It's sometimes
Yeah, difficult for them to.
yeah, like express themselves.
Tuossa Facebookissa on vasta mobiili.
Niin, mobiilit. Niin,
Today or yesterday in English? Or was it all in Finnish? Oh yeah.
I think no.
Kaukaa on yleensä ollut lippikoulussa joskus. En tiedä yhtään millä alalla jengi lähtee.
I know, that's why I was wondering. I'm drinking toilet now, sorry.
Melkein kaikissa. Olet vähän kaikilla samaa.
Is it really?
Joo. Edeksin vuoro.
Yeah, I like mine.
Luonnonpuiston rakennus.
Se on vielä sitä viimeistä kauden.
Yeah, I got to draw. Oh, yeah, the same one. How much you pay?
Joo, siinä on kovasti mietitään vaihtaa.
As usual. Because I negotiate.
Ehdottelen vähän tämmöisestä niin epätavanomaisesta
Do
päästä.
you have that? Yeah.
Jaas, mikä se on? Jaas.
Joo. Se on ihan termi pelasin siitä elämää.
VEXI, Veikko, you have made these schedules.
No,
Oh, no, you don't have. You are only
Saw
speaker.
it first time.
You are speaker only.
Don't blame me.
Just use the stickers, right?
That's it.
If they like it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oikein järjestys.
What?
Me kokeilemme. Ajattelin, että me voidaan kuitenkin alustaa.
Puolen väliä kuitenkin paikalla.
Niin. Täällä hämärässä. Se oli pieniä.
Alussa muotoilin
No joo, niin ehkä se ei ole kohtuullisesti yrittää. Ei, se näyttää pahalta.
I'll try. I don't think it will gonna work.
You know, we have this.
The microphone.
If you stand here, it works, but
People, you're gonna. Your broadcast. Hello, everybody. I'll try my best to to say something for you about the IxDA. So, are you all know IxDA or for sure, right? Yeah. Great. So I don't need to explain that, please.
There's better microphone here. So.
Oh, does it work? It's working? Can you hear better? Great. So, welcome to Ixonos. Tatiana and Miko is our hosters today. Miko, you're gonna explain for us like what Ixonos, like a bit more about our host, and then Tatiana, you present the agenda and conduct us through this program today. Thank you very much. I didn't even say who I am. Hey, okay, I'm Jane V. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Well, this we won't forget. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna tell you because I'm only here because my boss is traveling, so I had to come here. But there's a story. I met a friend last week, and he just gave a speech in a conference which was like mainly for deaf people. So what they did was that they translated or transcribed all the speeches and had it on the subtitles on the screen. He went to the stage, and first thing he did was like knocking the microphone and asking, "Can you hear me?" Until he realized no one hears him. I think it was a nice story, and I think it fits nicely to today's topic as well. And yeah, firstly I would like to thank, my name is by the way Mikko Nerhama, creative director here at Ixonos. And first I want to thank Jane and Tatiana for organizing this event. It's been quite a lot of work and they've been really busy with this, so thank you. I also want to thank IxDA, like bringing all these people here. And I think I'm amazed like seeing like how active community we have in Helsinki on IxDA. So happy to have it here. And yeah, about Ixonos. I guess you can read about it. I don't want to talk too much about it, but we are a creative technology company, so we have basically technology and design in different forms. Currently we have roughly 200 people globally in UK, Finland, US, Singapore, and so forth. Roughly 60 or 70 designers, researchers in different roles, and roughly same amount of the technical people and then some support people. But I don't want to talk about that too much. Some practicalities for today is like we mainly, like there's still the office side is on the other side of the building, and there might be some people working. Most of the restrooms, they are actually on this side of the building. Coffee or kind of break room is there on the other side, I guess you were there, and the hot dog kiosk will be there till 6:30.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent.
To be like snacks and drinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those will be the whole
Yeah.
for the whole evening. Yeah.
Just the hot.
Yeah. Personally, I think I'm honored that we actually got this topic here, because I think it's like we've been doing project with different clients, and in some places, like in EU, you have to be accessible on all the public services basically. But some countries, like in Norway, every commercial service has to be accessible for everyone. And I don't think it's just about being forced by the law, but I think every designer, that is somehow like our core skill or something we are responsible and should be our honor to kind of do services that people can actually use independently, what are their limitations or what they can do. I think it gets even more challenging when we think about the whole service design and think about like services beyond the digital. And I'm excited about this evening, and we have some great speakers today, so I'm at least looking forward to hearing about the topic and learning about it. So thank you on my behalf, and thank you for coming here.
And now my turn. I will just briefly tell even more things. But just, yeah, I'm really glad that you are all here, and we really tried to make it very like relaxing. That's why we selected this like cozy room. So please feel comfortable. And yeah, I can see two people feeling very comfortable. Please, thanks. And we are gonna have 2 talks today and 1 demo. And so the schedule you can see from the like Facebook page, and also there are like a couple of here and there on the walls. And yes, let's start. I prepared so much, you know, to talk, but I think let's keep it relaxed and simple. So we will start from first speaker. He's VEXI SAVIJOKI. He's our senior UX designer, and he has a lot of experience in accessibility, and also in he worked like 15 plus on usability as a usability consultant. So he will give us a nice introduction about the accessibility and like why should we care about it. So please welcome.
Some technical stuff first. Blue screen. Now we have something. Okay, hey, hello everyone. I'm VEXI SAVIJOKI, and I'm from Ixonos. I have been working here like two years now, almost 2 years, and in the field of usability, 15 plus years. And I'm going to give you a short introduction to accessibility, and feel free to interrupt me in any case. If you think that I'm speaking something that is not true or would like to ask something, just ask. Okay, accessibility basics. I'll try to answer what is accessibility, why should I care about it, and maybe if you have time, some principles of accessible design. And when we start, one word. Quite often, when we are designing website, we might think that, okay, our site is accessible, we have alt texts on. And accessibility is a bit more than just replacing text, putting text alternatives for images. And now I try to tell you something about those topics today and motivate you to create design and technology that is accessible for different kind of people. And I think I have been listening talks about accessibility like 10 plus years, and it has been always bubbling under, it has been always coming. And now I think that the topic is now something that is really in the big talks and people are interested in, and not just associations that are working in the field of accessibility, but also some other organizations, like companies, web shops are interested to make them more accessible and provide service for all kind of people. Yes. I tried to find some explanation for accessibility, and Wikipedia gave explanation for web accessibility, and I think it's quite good. Web accessibility refers to the inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites by people with disabilities. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, all users have equal access to information and functionality. And it's good to remember that there are different points where we need to consider accessibility. Design, I think there are quite many designers here. And developing the sites, when we are building, there are many technical points we need to think about, and also the content. It's not enough that our services are accessible only from the technical point of view, but also the content needs to be accessible. And unfortunately, it's not that easy to make accessible content. It's easy to check if your site is accessible from the technical point of view, but the content is somehow more difficult to make easier to understand and for everyone. And yeah. And when we talk about web accessibility, it's not the same as accessibility in the mobile, but the basic principles are quite the same. Okay. First point, why should I care? Do you have any answers? Are you still awake?
Well, you're trying to provide a service to people, and if they can experience a service or understand the service or access it in a meaningful way, you lose a lot of the people. We don't serve them.
So there is no service then?
Yeah.
Good. Any other points?
If you care, you will feel better about yourself.
Good point.
There is an EU directive for most services to have accessibility. That's why we should care about it.
And of course, every one of us could be disabled like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And most of us are in one way or another disabled. Like we can have a broken arm or bad eyesight, or be sick, have a headache. That could be considered a disadvantage in some situations.
Yeah. Okay. You told everything already. What should I say now? Thanks for helping me. Okay. Yes, people need it. And what are the people? Okay, you said that everyone need accessible design and services, but especially people who have problems with senses like seeing, hearing, some motor problems or cognitive problems. And of course we understand that if you can't see anything, it's impossible to use a service that requires seeing. But quite often you are not completely blind, but you have some problems with vision and you need to take care of that. And hearing, you can't hear voice, or your hear is somehow limited. And those motor problems often appear in a situation where you need to point something with your mouse, for example, and if your link is so small that you can't hit the link if your hand is shaking. Luckily, nowadays when we are designing for mobile, quite often links are bigger and buttons are bigger, and it makes easier for people who have motor problems to use services. And it's interesting point to remember that when we are creating, for example, responsive web, it quite often helps also this accessible side. And sometimes I have heard that, yes, this important thing, but our services are focused only for kind of normal people. We don't need to care about those disabled people. We serve just those normal people. And to answer that question or claim, it's good to check these numbers. How many people are affected if you talk about accessible design? And in Finland, it depends where you check, but I have heard that there are something like 7,000 to 10,000 blind people and 70,000 people with low vision. It's quite big group. People with cognitive disabilities, kehitysvammaisia, there are 100,000 people. And problems with reading, it's even bigger number. It includes dyslexia and non-native speakers. And I think it's quite important to understand that it's not just the people who have some diagnosis for dyslexia like that, or it's not just that kind of problem, but if you are non-Finnish speaker, it's quite difficult to understand Finnish, so it might be a good idea to use plain language, selkokieli, or otherwise simplified language. And of course it's good for non-Finnish speakers or people with some other reading problems. And one important big group is elderly people. There are 1,065,000+ year people in Finland, and many of these groups are part of that. Also, when you are getting older, you quite often have some problems with hearing, seeing, and motor issues. Of course, those elderly people, it's not homogeneous group. Some of them can run marathon, but there are differences in every group. Just to compare, if you think that we don't need to design for disabled people, we can compare those numbers to biggest cities in Finland. There, for example, in Espoo, there are almost 300,000 people. Can we say that, okay, we don't need to care about people who live in Espoo? For example, if we yeah, I agree, but still, to be polite and design for all, we need to also remember that there are people in Espoo also, and we need to care about those. So it's important to understand how big the groups are. And as Mikko said, accessibility is important thing for public services, but it's also important thing for business services. If you would like to sell something for elderly people, they often have more money than teenagers. I think it's good to provide your service so that they can use your service and buy stuff from your web shop, for example. Some diagrams. This is age groups in Finland, and from this diagram we can see that the only age group that is growing is 65+ people, and I think the amount of those people is going upwards still quite a long time. And some global statistics also. In the Western countries, the amount of aging population is going up, but it's even faster going up in the China and India and other like developing countries. So if there's, I don't know what's the scale on the left, but is it thousands? So in 2050 there will be 250 million 70+ people in China, for example, and I think it's quite a big group. Any questions in this point? Silent. And as you already noticed, we all are sometimes disabled in some way, but this text is from Hosanna School of Deaf from Ethiopia, and it says everyone is handicapped in some way, but no one is disabled in everything. And I like the idea so that we don't think that we don't talk about us and them like normal people and disabled people, but understand that we are all the same, but we have some challenges, everybody. And one important topic that I learned just recently is that people who have some disability, they might not want to be treated as special group. They just want to be like everyone else. And I think it's quite important to understand that it can be quite empowering situation when you use some service that is not meant for disabled people, but it's for everyone. And if you happen to have some issue with, for example, hearing, you can use the service as other people. So you don't need some handicapped version of some normal service. And as I said, I don't like the way of speaking that us and them, so we can just say that we don't want to be special, just we just want to be like everyone else. And I think this is quite important topic to understand. If you remember one thing from today's presentation, I think this is the one. Next one, why should I care? It's good for you and your business. When you improve your accessibility, you quite often help all people and make everyone's life easier. And one important user of your website is Googlebot, and Google is almost blind, so if your site is made to meet accessibility standards, Googlebot appreciates that, and you get better ranks by that. So search engine optimization quite often meets accessibility in that way. And quite often we all have some situational limitations when we are more or less disabled and can't use, for example, all of our senses or otherwise are limited. Like, for example, when you are driving a car, you are not able to use your vision because you need to see what is happening on the road, and you can't use your vision eyes to, for example, use some iPad application or stuff like that. So if you need to provide something for car drivers, you need to provide the feedback via hearing or other ways. And when you are tired, you probably are cognitively disabled, at least for a while. And one important case was with Satakunta Hospital District. They decided that all the important content should be written on plain language, because people who are sick or in a hurry situation that now they need some help, medical help, they don't have time or capability to understand difficult hospital language, so they made a special effort to keep the language as simple as possible. And then it's good for people who need that kind of language, but it's good for also normal people. As someone usually don't say that, okay, this is too simple for me, I don't want to use this. Or I don't know if there is some. And one situation where you are disabled in a motoric way is when you are trying to use your mobile phone wintertime in Finland. Your hand is freezing and your phone is freezing probably, and you try to hit something fast and try to be precise, and it's not that easy. And quite often I have heard that people with hearing problems have been asking that, can you please provide subtitles for videos? And okay, Yle has been providing that quite a long time, but other media companies are not that willing to provide content with subtitles because it needs more work. And there is no reason to provide that kind of handicapped version of our content because no one from mainstream users doesn't need it. But then Facebook came, and now we are all watching videos with subtitles because we are not willing to watch videos with voice, and we would like to still understand what is happening in the video, and content providers have been forced to use subtitles if they want to put their message out. And this is one example where accessible needs meets like mainstream needs. Any questions? Now is the tough part. Why should I care? You have to. There are quite many accessibility laws and standards that you need to meet. Web content accessibility guideline, that's not law at the moment, but the new legislation from the EU point of view will be linked to that next year, and all public sector organizations need to meet level AA next year, or was it in 5 years after next year. But if you are starting to build something, you need to already take care of that thing by now. And I don't know if is it good thing to force organizations to create accessible services, but sometimes it's the only way to create progress. And luckily we have some easier ways also. This Finnish accessibility certification, saavutettavuus huomioitu, it's a more lightweight way to get certificate for your service. It's not that difficult to get than the new EU legislation, but it's kind of first step on the road for that. And in the USA there is section 508 that is also speaking quite the same thing. And at Ixonos we have certification for that saavutettavuus huomioitu thing if you are interested to get that for your service. Yes. It's so quiet here. Are you still awake? Okay, how much we have time? We have still. Okay. Some principles of accessible design. I have to say this is quite a dull list. And compared to usability and user experience and that stuff, accessibility is quite technical. There are many technical details that you need to meet to make your service accessible. And in addition to that, you need to care about the content also. And the first one is the one that I already mentioned. Remember to provide alternative text for images and other content that is not available for people who can't see the content. And also the content technical document structure. It needs to be used, created in a way where the HTML was created. Remember to mark headings and text, and it should be, because it's easier to navigate through the content if the headings are marked in a proper way. Main heading is H1 and second level H2 and so on. And the fourth one is quite complex actually for many sites. Make sure that all the forms are possible to submit. Nowadays there are many JavaScript tricks and stuff that makes sometimes those submitting really difficult or impossible. And it's not really nice situation when you have completed long form, for example, when you are buying something from web shop and you notice that, okay, I can't pay this. Okay, nice. I have stuff in my chart, but I can't buy it. And subtitles I already mentioned. And links, try to make your links relevant and so that those links are understandable without the context that is around the link. So try to avoid links like read more or open here or stuff like that. And read more type of links are not good for Google. So once again, when you are talking about accessibility and try to create your links better, Google also appreciates that. One point. And it's not only about the web content, you should care also about the non-HTML content, PDF, Word and PowerPoint files. Okay, there is Adobe Flash also mentioned. I don't know if there is really possibility to create accessible Flash content, but luckily that technology is already dying. Maybe there are some web banners or stuff like that that is still using Flash. And allow users to skip repetitive elements on the page means that you should have a jump link from the beginning of website to the content, main content of the website. Quite often between these two points in the beginning of the content page and the beginning of the content there are tens of navigation links and sometimes you want to skip them. And when you're using color, don't use color as the only way to communicate something. And content I already mentioned about that. But okay, it's quite difficult to define how to write clearly and how to make the content easy to read. And quite often it's good to test with real users to make sure that your content is really meant for those who are reading it. And you can use JavaScript, but test it if it's really possible to use with JavaScript. I think, Tapio, you might have some demos for that. And design to standards. Try to use standard languages, HTML language as good as you can do it. And what else? Okay, there is an example of alternative text. Maybe nothing from that now. And today we heard here at least one screen reader, and you can all test your own device's screen reader. If you are using iPhone, you have VoiceOver available already. You can try to use your favorite website with VoiceOver and try to understand how the thing is different when you can't see the service, and you can use screen magnifiers to test your service. I don't know if I can demonstrate it. Yes, make it bigger. It's also available in Mac. And there are quite many tools and web browser plugins that can emulate color blindness and how convert contents in a way where screen reader sees the content. And for example, in this example, the website says, tool says that okay, there is an image without alternative text, and you should avoid that kind of situations. And I think these tools are quite good to test at least the technical way, technical accessibility. But these tools can't help with content. You need to read it and understand it. And when we are talking about elderly people, there are these kind of suites available. What is this H-man suite? It looks funny, and I don't know what's inside of those suites, but at least they make your vision more narrow and maybe your movements more inflexible, and you can get a feeling what it to be elderly people. I haven't personally tested this, but I think it's nice idea to have those. I think there are some of those in Finland available, but
there are at least 2 in Avava.
Yeah. Is one of those, or?
Yes,
yeah.
The grey one. Yeah.
It's astronaut suite. Yes. Anything else? Questions?
Are there any kind of, or I'm not that familiar with the kind of standards you have into one slide, but are in those standards, or are there other like such documents or that would contain, have some kind of maturity models for organizations regarding accessibility, in a way like that you could put yourself to on some level or some level of maturity that you are in a way like doing accessible stuff, and then when you see the path forward, you know what I mean.
I'm not sure, but maybe the web content accessibility guidelines levels are quite good for that. It's not that difficult to get 1A level, and when you are doing more stuff, you can get more levels. Okay, the 3A level is quite difficult to get, but I don't know if there are any other standards where you can have that kind of levels to understand what is your maturity level on accessibility. Good question.
Yeah, thanks. What about if you think about the principles about doing design and about the whole from the design perspective? So, do you have any? Because there is a lot of specialties or principles. For instance, you have to have a line height very high, or the font size has to be big. So, do you have any benchmark about the nice, cool, readable, beautiful website which kind of has taken care of these principles, but they are still kind of real websites?
Okay, good point. Yeah. Yeah. You are saying that can I create good-looking website, or should I do accessible website? Okay. Quite often I can hear that that designers are not that willing to create accessible content because they think.
Especially those line heights and font
Yeah.
sizes, I have tried, but
Yeah.
Does it look like that, okay? Is this now kind of, it's not like the most of the website stuff?
Yeah, you should check that your website is flexible in a way that you can zoom it. Okay, let's take this.
Any benchmarks?
Yeah, I'm opening the. Okay, maybe this is not the good looking one, but. Okay, now I have some technical problems. Maybe I need to close that presentation first. What is under here? Okay, this is not that good looking, but you can check that. You can zoom it without breaking the content completely. And you can check that the website is working even without cascading style sheets. And you can add those effects in CSS. And by removing that, you have accessible version of your website. So.
But I don't think that the line height is okay by the principles.
Really?
I don't think so.
What's that standard for line height?
I can't remember, but it makes the line height very high.
Okay, but this is quite zoomable content.
Okay. But so the answer is that make your website zoomable. So
Yeah.
it's kind of don't try to do it right away like that. So do it always zoomable.
Yeah. And luckily, responsive websites are already quite often
That's true.
designed in a way that the content can be in different sizes. But you can use colors, images, different fonts, and stuff like that, even though your site is accessible. So accessibility is not a designer's enemy. Don't think it like that. Okay, now Marva, you have something to remember. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, I'm not totally up to date on the developments of what's happening with accessibility, but do you think that we as designers or developers have to take this stuff into consideration for, let's say, 5 or 10 years, or is it like that as machines are getting smarter, the task can be given to them, like that a computer interprets the image and actually describes what's happening in the image instead of us or some content writer typing it out, because then you can also ask questions from the computer about the image, like how many people are there, and it can actually count the people and stuff like that, and probably also read text from a screen at some point, without digging into the HTML code, but actually just seeing the screen and actually then understanding what it says.
Yeah, that might be future.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's better to use your own words to create alternative text.
Yeah. But is there some sort of any timeline? Are we talking about 50 years or 20 years?
I don't know. It's difficult to predict the future. And quite often it's not that important to see or hear how many people are in the big picture, and are they boys or girls, and how many of them, but the overall feeling of the picture that there is a group of kids and doing stuff like that.
Apple has some pretty powerful accessibility services that you can actually check up on. But actually, if you're blind, it will you can use your camera, if you're visually impaired, I should say.
Yeah.
Then it can actually tell you if your camera's on.
Yeah, there are quite many.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Because I think that Apple's one of the most innovative companies that, in terms of accessibility features across other models.
Yes.
All right. I think we are running out of time, so let's thanks to VEXI. That was really great presentation. Now we will have a 10 minutes break. Let's come back here in 10 minutes, and we will continue with the demo by Tapio, and we will see some assistive technology in use.
30 minutes to get your hot dog.
Yes, yeah, the last chance to get your hot dog, last half an hour.
Yes, mä voin jeesaa. Kiitos. Täällä oli jotain kaapeleita jo tarjolla.
Joo, mä jätin laturin tähän.
Joo. Sulla on tommonen uudenmallinen Mac selkeästi.
Joo. Joo. Ostin sen vuoden alusta. Tai tilasin jo heti kun se tuli. Niin.
Tosiaan tässä on mikkipöytä.
Joo. Mä kuulin, että se HDMI oli tällä puolella.
Mä otan HDMI täällä pöydällä.
Joo. Niin mä ajattelin, että siinä Macissa ei ole HDMI.
Joo. No muakin vähän hämmensi aluksi toi, mutta onneksi enää adapterit. Mäkin olen kohta tässä elämässä, kun mä tulee uskonen.
Mä kieltäydyin niin uusimasta vielä konetta, kun tulee uudet liittimet.
Joo. Nyt se meni paikalle. Tarvitse virtaa?
Mulla oli se tässä valmiissa.
Täällä oli se speakeri.
Tässä on... Tätä voi säätää, jos tuntuu, että se on liian kovalla. Tai...
Täällä.
Tää ei ole vissiin käytössä.
Eikö?
Se ei ole siellä sisällä.
Siis tää
eikö siis tää tarkoittaa tätä mikrofonia?
Miten niin? Eikö siitä me ääni tunne? On se ääni kuuluu jostain kaiuttimista.
Niin, mutta tää...
Siis... Niin. Joo, se ei oo siellä. Nyt ei tule vielä kuvaa.
No signal. Mikä siinä on?
Onko sillä väliä mistä reiästä se ottaa sen?
Ei. Se pitäisi varmaan olla ihan sama. Ei näy vieläkään. Nyt taitaa tapahtua jotain. Se sun koneessa vilahtaa kyllä se ruutu, että se jotain se niinku...
Täällä ei tapahdu mitään. Pistä se HDMI siitä tykistä. Mitenkään tuo resoluution kanssa on?
Ei sillä väliä kyllä se osaa.
Okei.
Siis me kokeiltiin se kyllä jotain.
Ai se äsken toimi.
Just äsken.
Kato, kun mä näytin sille vanhempaa Mäkkiä, niin se ei suostu enää uudempaa palvelemaan. Interesting.
Nyt se hakee sitä
System preferences, finder, system preferences. Quick nav on. Preference pane, dialog, language and read security and type spot.
Mä irrotan HDMI tästä, katsotaan vaikuttaako se.
Displays button.
Laitettiin takaisin.
Built-in retina display window. Built-in retina display selected color tab. Night shift tab resolute night call display selected tab 1 of 3.
Siellä ei ole sitä, mikä se on se järjestys, order vai?
Siis ihmeellinen homma.
No jos mä käynnistän uudestaan tänne.
Otetaan muuten se äänijohto kanssa tonne paikalle.
Täällä on pieni. Mäkkien laatu on heikentynyt, jos uudelleen käynnistystä pitää. Sori.
Mut siis kun ekana kokeiltiin, niin se toimii.
Niin.
Ja kyllä se on toiminut.
Niin.
Että se on aika semmoinen.
Eihän mä nyt potkassu mitään piuhaa täällä, kyllä tää piuhakin menee perille asti edelleen.
Siis se toimii.
Mä kokeilen nyt tuolla omalla koneella, että onko toi tykkää.
Mä voidaan vielä kerran irrottaa ja kääntää ympäri tuonne.
Se ei niinku välähdäkään täällä tykillä toi. Se välähti sulla näyttö, mutta mä katson, että onko tää nyt muuttunut niinku ronkeliksi tää kone. Tai toi tykki, mä otan ton irti tosta. We have some technical issues.
Yes, we.
Okei, kyllä mun koneella toimii.
It worked. We tried it
Before.
first,
Yeah.
but now it doesn't work.
Should we? Do you think that? That's weird. So it doesn't show the picture.
No, and it's the high-end latest Mac.
Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe that's the
It's
reason.
still- Okay.
Pitäisikö kokeilla vielä toisen puolen liittymistä? Että
Voisi kokeilla.
mä en keksi niinku mitään.
Mä oon ennen sitä käyttänyt molemmilla.
Niin.
Should I ask Aka? Maybe he would have some
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can help us.
Pitäisikö toisaan, mutta näkyykö tässä siinä niinku...
No kyllä se tykki toimi, kun mä kokeilin sitä mun koneella. Niin.
Sanoiko se mitä, että tunnistaako se ton tykin?
Kun ei siinä näy mun mielestä sitä
Joo, ei siinä näy mitään.
sitä, mikä se on se järjestys tai...
Joo, ei se ole. Siis tässä on kyllä ollut ainakin liitos tässä johdossa, mutta se ei taida olla enää siinä. Ja se toimii sulla.
Saadaanko me tykkiä VGA? VGA:ta tykkiä.
En tiedä.
Siis tykissä on VGA-liiti, mutta sulla oli VGA-adapteri. Mutta onko meillä VGA-piuha?
Se voi olla vaikeampi löytää. Siis kokeile ensin toiselle puolelle tuota näyttöpiuhaa.
Mä katon jos tuossa on VGA-piuha.
Mä voin näyttää.
Yeah, I can check from here.
It doesn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't show
Tänne tulipa
the picture,
jotain.
the image.
Joo.
Arrangement.
Yeah.
Oops. No, it's gone.
No, it's gone.
We changed the plug already to different position.
Yes.
Let's try taking that off and putting it on again.
This is interesting.
When we were testing it, did it work?
Yeah,
Yes, it worked.
You want to do your magic?
You can take this off.
No, it actually showed the arrangement.
Okay.
Now, so don't take anything.
Okay.
But actually now it's gone again.
So when I switch this USB-C, then it
When we were testing, which port did we use?
It was on this side. I can't remember which.
Shall we
one.
use this still?
yeah, we tried it already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, both ones.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
What about
been
if you close the lid for a while? Usually it looks for the displays.
Or
when you
restart the
close.
machine.
Mm.
It didn't stop. Well, now it's not recognizing. Let me.
Do we have any other adapter? Maybe.
We need to ask
What was
somebody.
the other? I can ask if you guys still here. What adapter we need?
We need to have
USB-C to HDMI.
Yeah.
Oh, I think.
Shall we restart the machine?
Yeah, I tried that once. We can do that again.
The
Stored.
Yep.
I wonder if it helps if we restart the projector. We haven't tried that yet.
Okay, we can do that.
probably takes a while to wake up. But anyway, it's better than.
Hei anteeksi, sä oot varmaan Tapio.
Joo.
Mä oon Katarina, mä oon Kirsti Sisko Salosen tytär ja äiti pyysi mua sanomaan hei.
Tervehdys, mitä kuuluu?
Kiitos, hyvää. Joo, musta oli tosi kiva, kun mä itse asiassa kysyinkin äidiltä, että tietääkö se sut, kun mä näin tämän aiheen. Ja mun mielestä on tosi kiva, että tätä nyt niin kuin tämmöisellekin yhteisölle puhutaan, koska huomaa välillä itse, että kun molemmat vanhemmat on näkövammaisia ja itse on ihan näkevä, niin sitten on niin kuin silleen, että harva ajattelee niitä asioita.
Joo, ja mäkään en ole siis aina ollut, mä oon 6 vuotta sitten.
Joo.
Näkövammautuneen sitä ennen mä olin yksi teistä.
Niin,
näin. Ja mä puhun sen takia niin kuin kaikki tutkijat oikeastaan, siis mä oon väitöskirjoitusta aiheesta tehnyt ja sitten samalla sit kanssa ollut paljon verkkoprojekteissa ja nyt Kehitysvoimaliitolla saavuttavuusasiantuntijana, niin mä puhun mieluummin niinku käytettävyydestä kaikille kuin saavutettavuudesta ja kaikki tutkijatkin oikeastaan, että se sitten tarkoittaa enemmän se saavutettavuus semmoista teknistä saavutettavuutta, että se ei varsinaisesti
niin se kerro.
Niin, että se ei tavallaan niin tarkoita sitä, että se käyttö olisi välttämättä tuloksellista, tehokasta tai miellyttävää.
Niin, kyllä.
Ja mulla oli tarkoitus nyt, jos me saadaan tää toimii aikaisemmin. Toimi aikaisemmin, kun kokeiltiin ja mulla on toiminut tää ihan hyvin kaikilla muilla kerralla, kun mä oon pitänyt vastata.
Meillä olisi nyt tämmönen VGA-versio.
No niin, hei me jätän teidät tähän. Voin sanoa äidille, että...
lisää ja sano paljon terveisiä.
Joo.
Joo. Meidän pitää ehkä siirtää pöytään, jos vaihdetaan tekniikkaa.
Joo.
I guess we can still try this.
HDMI first.
We got that one.
No, it's connected, but the computer says no.
Try this one.
Okay.
This is somehow different.
Yes.
Let's try.
Is it for new Mac?
Yes. Oh,
No.
let's try the HDMI.
Oh, it's a different adapter.
Yes, we can try this.
That computer says no many times because my charger doesn't.
No.
Wait, it's coming. It's coming.
It works.
Okay.
Was the problem with my HDMI adapter?
Could be.
I'm not
But
sure.
it worked before.
They are
Maybe I need to check that.
they are really grumpy.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happens, he said.
Sometimes. It happens.
Now we have picture.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Remember me, that is.
Yep, there we go.
Sure though, please.
Haluatko vettä nyt?
Ei tarvii.
Joo, mä voisin mennä tonne.
Yes, actually. We need to start with one month.
You're in the focus one. I'm not even drinking because I'm working.
I think we will start in a couple of minutes, so I will bring the people.
Great. Is the audio
Sorry? Audio. Joo. Se oli täällä vähän teukasta. Voinko mä laittaa kiinni?
Joo.
Mikä täällä kolisee? Mä asun tuolla mikkiin.
So the audio is going from here, so.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
University Web link finish. Heading level 1. List 100 heading level 1. Remote access menu. Also University Web. Volume down button. Volume up button.
Pistä vähän kunnolla volumea ennen mitä kulun tuohon taakse.
Volume 50, 60%. 65%, 70, 75%, 80%. List 152 items. Heading level 1. Remote access menu. Aalto University Library. Link image. Aalto University. Link image. Aalto University.
Very full there? Because my company doesn't say.
It's always like when the second or the third person is speaking, it's always slower to get people back.
Okay.
Because then people get more relaxed.
Whoa.
Tatiana, thank you. Making me feel welcome in the world.
We are very happy that you came because it's like very insightful. For example, I've never worked with accessibility myself, so for me it's like this event is so interesting because I would really like to know more. So I'm very inspired, I have to say.
When I sat down, I was like, okay, what's going on?
Okay, I think we can start. Okay, everybody, please take your seats, stand, do whatever you like, but please let me take some attention. So now what we are gonna do, we are gonna have a look, get introduced. I'm sorry. It's like because you don't notice this. That's why I actually was very surprised that there is a microphone because I didn't notice it myself. But yeah, hopefully you can hear me better now. So what we are gonna have now, we are gonna have a demo from Tapio Hampera. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And he's an accessibility expert from Finnish Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. He's also an owner of a company where he's consulting about accessibility and usability, and teaches his clients how to create more accessible and user-friendly websites for everyone. And apart from that, you're also doing a PhD, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yes, so we have a very, very skillful person now, and please introduce your demo and welcome.
Thank you, Tatiana, and good evening, everybody. So as Tatiana mentioned, my name is Tapio Hampera, and I will be demonstrating how a visually impaired person uses a screen reader to navigate web pages or websites. And as Tatiana mentioned, I have a research background as well. I have been doing my doctoral dissertation for a few years now, and I've been doing research work on accessibility as well. And for that reason, I actually don't like the word accessibility. I like to use the word usability more, and I like to think that usability should be addressed for everybody, not just people who can see properly, hear properly, move properly, and use their hands properly, and have normal cognitive capabilities. But usability should be addressed for everybody, since me and other researchers in this field believe that every person should be able to use services effectively, efficiently, and pleasantly. So I have demo of that, what I mean about that, so you understand better. But please feel free to comment at any point. I don't see your hands, so just yell or shout something. And if you want to talk to me after this presentation, please do. I love talking to people about these things, and I want to hear your backgrounds as well, and I want to hear what you all are doing. So let's start with the demo. I opened up this website, which has a list of these academic, well, basically these are search engines all. And I wrote a research article about this. So this is a brief demonstration to that as well. But a short research article on how to make good search user interfaces for blind people using a screen reader that are also good in terms of usability. So let's start by
List 1 of 152. Link. Archive grid 2 of 152. Link. WGSN 3 of 150. Link. Hobby/4 4 of 150. Link. ACM 5 of 150.
I'm gonna just go through all the links.
Acts Public Aeronautical Journal AS ABU ASOL Algebra and Number Calma Callan American Economic American New Dance Annual Review Apps Journal Applied and Environmental Text Artster S Link ASMA Digital Astronomy and Biochemical Botanica Cab Dirac Cambridge Canadian Medical Cartographic Contrade Crossref Link.
By the way, I'm looking for Google.
CSA Link. EBSC August Echo 18th Century Conla Link Ederax Link EDP Sciences Evo Early English Elibs Emerald Full Text Environment and Planning Essential Science Etiquette ETD Financial Times Google Scholar Link.
Yeah, so here's Google Scholar. I'm gonna open
Press
up
link
that
Google
one.
Scholar. Haku. Main one item. Google Image Scholar. Haku Edit Text. Talkanefi Scholar.
Okay, so that web page is actually in Finnish, but let's not that.
Quick nav off. C A C E S I B I L I T Y. Accessibility. Navigation to items. Link. Internet. Quick nav on.
So here we have the search results page, and for a normally sighted person, it's quite self-evident to see where the search. I hope it opened it correctly, but where all the search results are, and which of the links presented here are search results. But for the reason why I mentioned that we should take into account usability and not talk about accessibility, since all the research work that has been done around accessibility, there's been a few different kind of research done. So some of those researches have been done with surveys. Some of those have been done using some automated validators, and some research, which are in my opinion the best ones, have been done with real people, real users, sitting with the researchers and figuring out what's going on the web, and how could we make it more usable for everybody. And the thing that actually, or what is the major thing that frustrates blind users using the web is not the text alternatives on the web. Usually, or most of the times, if there's no text alternatives, that doesn't make the web any less accessible in a way. However, the major thing is how to find the actual and the relevant content on a single web page, or in a website. So how can we find the actual content? I'm only able to, well, not see the page, but only hear the page one element at a time. So finding all of those search results is now my task, and let's see how Google handles it. So I could go through one element at a time.
Link. Kudabaku. Link. Listen. Link. Produces on. End of navigation. Better 2 items. Link. Scholar Feasible.
But I'm not going to do that. since I know that Google is smart enough to put all of those search results as headings. So every single search result you see there is actually a heading, and I'm able to navigate through all of the headings on that page. So just pressing the H key, H for heading, on my keyboard, I'm able to go through headings.
Heading level 3, link. The interpretation of protein structures, estimation of static accessibility. Heading level 3, link. How accessibility shapes land use. Heading level 3, link. Web presentation layer bootstrapping for accessibility and performance. Heading level 3, 2 items. Satati, link. Knowledge active.
So that was quite easy. So in this particular page, finding the actual content, the most relevant content, was quite easy for me. And if there would be any pictures on that page, would I care that I wouldn't be able to see or hear what's on those pictures? Probably not. Obviously, if those pictures are links, that would be extremely helpful for me to know where that link will lead me. But on this particular task, I'm interested in finding out more about accessibility. So I wrote accessibility on Google Scholar and just pressed the H key, and I was able to go one by one all the search results. But let's check out another website.
Go back button. Talking if you Scholar, go back button. Link. Google Scholar. 48 link. Pelican. Headings menu. Headings menu.
Sorry.
ESC, but link. Pelican. Quick nav off. Headings menu. ESC, button, link. Pelican. Quick nav on. Handbook of Chemistry, Housing, Hopkins, I can speak for Finch, I squeeze the Journal of the Electro, Corporate, Morgan and Claypool, Mosana Company, and O Post, PNAS, Project Euclid, ProQuest, PS Case and 6 articles, Reckon C Reaxis Reference Globe Review to make the Rails, Safari Techbooks online, Sage Journals, link, Sage Research Methods, Science, link, Science Direct, Scientific.C Finder, Citation, Scopus, link.
Scopus, so here it is.
Press link, Scopus.
Let's see what happens.
90% loaded. Banner 2 items. Heading level 1. Navigation 1 item. Search text field blank. Quick nav.
Search text field.
A C C E. Accessible access. I. Accessibility. B I L I T Y. Accessibility. Link. Skip main navigation links. Link. Skip main navigation links. Link. Jump quick nav off. Quick nav on.
So here again, I would assume that all of these search results, every single search result would be presented as a heading. In Google's case, those were heading level 3, so H3s. So let's try the same method here again. So I'm just going to press the H key and see what happens, since my mental model is now that every single search engine would work the same way as Google does. Unfortunately, or I don't want to spoil you, so give you any spoilers, but let's see what happens.
Heading level 1, link, Scopus. Heading level 1, 4 items. 1, 3, 7, 1, 5, 9. Document results. Link, heading level 2, 8 items. Title labs key, space, leprin, space, accessibility, space, rightrin, space, heading level 2, refine results. Heading level 3, year, expanded button. Heading level 3, author name, expanded button.
I'm going through all the headings now, by the way.
Heading level 3, subject area, expanded button. Heading level 3, document type, expanded button. Heading level 3, source title, collapsed button. Heading level 3, keyword, collapsed button. Heading level 3, affiliation, collapsed button. Heading level 3, country/territory, heading level 3, source type, collapsed button. Heading level 3, language, collapsed button. Heading level 2, result list. Heading level 3, above Scopus. Heading level 3, language. Heading level 3, customer service, last heading, heading level, last heading, heading
So
level.
that was the last heading, so no luck there.
Trackpad commander is at Scopus, documents. Trackpad commander off, Scopus, vertical Scopus, document search results, web link, banner 2 items. Link, jump to footer, banner 2 items, heading level 1, link, Scopus, banner, link, skip main navigation.
So what's my next best alternative to finding the first search result on this page? So since I believe that that's the most relevant information that I want to see or want to hear in this case. So what are the search results if I've just made a search? So if headings didn't work, and that's, by the way, usually or typically the first thing that a blind user does when he or she goes to a web page, not just a search engine, but on every single page is pressing the H key and finding the first heading on that page, since usually that will lead to the most relevant and interesting content, or at least should. So let's try going through all the links on this page, since I believe that the search results are presented as links.
Click to footer, link. Heading level 1, link. Scopus, search, link. Sources, link. Alerts, link. Lists, link. CVAL, link. Register, link. Login, collapse. Make heading level 1 4 items, link. Click to hide, view more, link. View more, link. View more, link. View more, link. Analyze search results, link. Show all abstracts, link. The evolving landscape of heterocycles and drug candidates, link. Show document details.
Was that the first one? Okay. If anybody wasn't counting, that actually took me 19 keystrokes. I had to go through 19 links in order to find the first search result. So that's the difference between a website that is technically accessible and a website that is good in terms of usability. So in my opinion, this is quite technically accessible. I was able to find the first search results by, well, trial and error and just going through all the links one by one. However, with Google, I was just able to press one key on my keyboard and just find the first search result. So in terms of usability and in terms of how efficient that was, I think that Google won this, well, 19-1. And how pleasant it is to use, maybe Google, I don't want to go into that, but in my opinion, Google was a bit more pleasant than this one. And going through all the links, that requires some, well, a bit more cognitive work, cognitive load on my part, since I have to listen through all the links and be extremely careful that I don't jump. I mean, I have to hear that what the search result is. So there are a lot of links, and I had to hear that, is this the one, is this the one, is this the one, and figure out that what's the first search result. Now let's try finding the second one.
Authors, link. Zhang, T.Y., column 3 of 6. Advances in heterocyclic chemistry, link. View abstract, link. Altaurus FX opens in a new window, link. View a publisher, link. Related documents, link. Low back pain, current patterns of Canadian physiotherapy service delivery, link. Orozco, T, link. Feldman, D.E., link. Mazer, B, link. Williams-Jones, B, link. Galibote, M, link. Physiotherapy Canada, link. View abstract, link. Altaurus FX opens in a new window, link. Image. View a publisher, link. Related documents, link. Probing the druggability of membrane-bound RAB, 5, by molecular depth.
So, any questions at this point?
Is
that the second one?
It was the third one, but
That was the third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, it took quite many for the second. So.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Did you actually skip the second one on purpose, or?
Actually not.
Okay.
So.
The name was not very clear that it would be an article, so.
Okay.
No
What was
wonder.
the name of that second?
Low back pain was the previous one.
Low back pain.
Low back pain.
Yeah. So that's actually the thing that I was talking about. That once you go through a lot of links, a lot of and just trying to figuring out that what is the search result or what is the thing or the link that I'm looking for. So, how much do I have time, by the way?
5-10 minutes.
Okay, excellent.
202.
Any other questions at this point?
No, just an observation. I think this shows in a very such a way of the importance of actually when you're trying to do serve people and provide accessibility, it's important to use the tools that the people themselves use to access the content. this is a really good demo for that because it shows the frustration that the people are going to encounter when they use a service through different kinds of readers and viewers.
Yeah.
And the technical accessibility is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why researchers that do research work with real users, real people, don't like the term accessibility, and they define it as being technically accessible, and they want to emphasize usability, and they want to emphasize that usability should be taken into account for all users, and typically that's not the case. Probably typically usability is taken into account for people with no disabilities, people with no impairments, and all the accessibility is taken into account as a technical accessibility, so that it is possible to use the web service with, for example, with assistive technologies such as a screen reading software. Are there any websites that you would like me to visit now?
Quick nav. Open location. 8 Savijokki. Vetric R. Unso. Copia WWF. Verabilito. www. Verifia 87% loaded. Quick nav on. Verabilito. Web link. Svenska. Link. English. Press link.
English.
Visited. Link. Suo&Co. 76% loaded. Visited. Link. Suo&Co. Link. Svenska. Link. Other languages. Visited. Link. Image. Veroscat. Search text field. Blank. Siege-button.png. Image.
So there was an image that doesn't have an alternative text.
Link. Siege-button.png. Image. Search text siege-button.png. Image.
Was that a siege button?
Search
button, yeah, but
Siege, yes.
yeah.
Siege.
Yeah. Excellent. But that was actually a good example. As I told you, I don't usually mind if there's no text alternatives or if the text alternatives are bad. If you think about, for example, a news site, you're reading the news, and there's obviously a lot of pictures relating to that news, but does it make the content somehow much less accessible if you didn't have the pictures there? And I know that a lot of news sites have actually a checkbox there that you can read the news without the pictures or the images. So in a way, no, but this is a good example where Vero could maybe reconsider, since this is a button, or if the image is a link to somewhere. However, if the image is a button or a link, you should not tell the user what is being presented on that image. You should tell the user what will happen if you press that link, or where will that link take you. So probably, I don't know if this is a magnifying glass. So if this button right here would just tell me magnifying glass, that would be an exact representation or a text alternative what is being presented on that image. However, would that help me in any way that it just would say button magnifying glass? Probably not. So that's why if it's a button, if it's a link, don't tell the user what's being displayed on that picture of that button. Tell the user where it will, and that's very important. Otherwise, text alternatives are not, as Veikko mentioned, not the biggest thing on the web relating to accessibility. But I think that we got through like 6 elements on vero.fi, so let's continue a bit.
Link. Forms. Link. Contact information. Visited. Link.
That's the home button, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an icon of a home.
Yeah, but that actually is quite common for some reason, that the if there's a navigation pane on the top of the page and there's a small picture of a house, usually, those icons, I don't know why, but typically they don't have a text alternative. But
so self-evident.
Yeah. Click individuals. Click companies and organizations. Click precise information. Click e-file. Click tax administration. Click precise information.
did it say precise information? Excellent. I want to see what's under here.
Press link. Press visited. Link. Visited. Link. Individuals. Link. Companies and organizations. Visited. Link.
And here's the one thing again. It started, I opened up a link called precise information. This happens to on all of the sites. For example, if you go to a news site and you open up a news link that says, I don't know, Finland won Sweden in ice hockey, and probably your mental model would be that I press this link, I hear something about that particular news. However, that's not the case, since it starts to read the whole page from the beginning, so you need to again navigate to the actual content, the relevant content of that page. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the H key and start finding the heading, since I believe that the first heading on this page, or at least one of the first headings on this page, would give me, well, precise information.
Heading level 2, link, value added tax.
What?
It tells you about value added tax, or it's a link to that.
Okay.
Heading level 2, link, business tax. Heading level 2, link, tax prepayment. Heading level 2, link, income taxation of individuals. Heading level 2, link, international tax situations. Heading level 2, link, real property and taxes. Heading level 2, link, inheritance and gift. Heading level 2, link, excise taxes. Heading level 2, link, transfer tax. Heading level 2, link, other taxes. Heading level 2, link, glossary. Heading level 2, link, taxpayer rights and obligations. Heading level 2, link, payments and refund. Heading level 2, link, e-filing. Heading level 2, link, official instructions. Heading level 2, link, official decisions. Heading level 4, 2 items. E-services for individual taxpayers. Space. Heading level 4, 2 items. E-services for corporate taxpayers. Space. Heading level 4, 2 items. Contact US. Space.
This is thank you for this demo, actually. Again, as I mentioned, my mental model would have been that when I press a link, it would tell me something about precise information. And I always say that the title of the page that you open a link should be, and the first heading of that page, or not necessarily the first heading, but the H1 heading, which is meant for the main content of that web page, should be the same as the link name that just brought you there. So if I just press a link called precise information, I don't know, I didn't find anything about precise information. So what I mean about that, the first heading, the first H1 heading of that main content should have been, in my opinion, should have been precise information, and after that it should have had some text about precise information. And a lot of times, this is not the case, and it's not necessarily for users with low vision or blindness. It's not for users with cognitive impairments. It's actually for everybody, usually. If you press a link that says something, and the page that it loads brings you to a page that doesn't say the same thing on its title and its first heading on the main content, that can be, well, distracting, and you may start to wondering that, hey, did I press the right link, the correct link, and maybe go back and find out some more. I'm going to give you a brief demonstration of a news site and then we can talk a little bit more.
Quick nav off. Open location. https://n.com unselect.cnn.com. 90% loaded. 90%. Quick nav on. CNN breaking news. CNN breaking visited link regions. Link U.S. politics. Link money. Link entertainment. Link tech. Link sport. Link travel.
I could go through this by element and check out what's under there. However, this is a news site, so
link travel, link style, link travel.
Let's
press
check
link
about
travel. Visited link slash 39%.
So I assume that they've used headings correctly. So just pressing the H key and start going through all the headings. Since again, my reason for being on this site is that I would find the relevant content in this site are the news headings, the headlines, and in this case the travel headlines. So let's see what happens.
Heading level 2, travel. Heading level 3, link, the world's most beautiful floral hotels. Heading level 2, top stories. Heading level 3, link, how Mauritius rum is taking on the world. Heading level 3, link, Barcelona cocktails, how to make a Mediterranean treasure.
Yeah, and that was true. I was able to read all the headlines quite easily and go them through quite easily. And let's try opening this
Barcelona
one.
cocktails, how to make a Mediterranean treasure. Visited link slash visited link slash visited link travel double angle quotation mark link.
Now it's quite hard to hear what my screen reader is doing at the moment, since there's what I assume a video playing at the background.
Link business traveler link destinations link features link food slash drink link hotels link partner hotel search button international plus US Arabic click Espanol clickable. Heading level 1 Barcelona cocktails link image Moreno and number 39 video by Lila Hussein text by link Moreno hair CNN updated 1150 Mediterranean treasure underline 0000551 image SPC in 2 4 hours. Heading level 3 5 SPC in 2. Heading level 3 Milan. Heading level SP. Heading level SP. Heading level SP. Heading level SP. Heading level Heading level Heading level Heading level FE. Heading level CF. Heading level SP. Heading level Heading level
Just say when this starts to annoy you.
Heading level Heading level Heading level Heading CF. Heading level Heading
Okay.
Play configuration. Pause. Close window.
Thank God. So, do you have any questions at this point? So, I mean, actually, I have a question. Since I truly wanted to show you, I didn't have much time, but to show you as good as possible that what I mean about usability for screen reader users. Obviously, there are a lot of other people that you need to consider. As Veikko mentioned, there are hundreds of thousands of people in Finland who benefit from accessibility, and screen reader users maybe represent probably about 1 or maybe 2% of that population. So about 98% of the people benefiting from accessibility are not screen reader users. But still, you should consider me as well when you're deciding, and please do. Consider everybody. But just wanted to show you, tell you and show you also that why I believe and why other researchers in this field believe that usability is something that you should take into consideration.
Thank you very much, Tapio.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, we have time for a couple of questions.
Has there been any online service that you were surprised that worked so well with the screen reader? Because I know there's plenty that don't work at all.
I don't know. Actually, I think that usually most sites that I visit work in some way or another. But websites that uses they're, in my opinion, designed well. For example, somebody mentioned Apple earlier, and I want to mention Apple as well. So if you have some things that you're wondering when you're designing your web page or website, and you're thinking about the technical accessibility side, and maybe thinking about how should I make this so that it would be accessible for screen reader users as well, visit apple.com and see what they've done. They have some good good solutions that they've done there.
And it's quite visual site, by the way.
Yeah.
That's true. How do you use mobile devices?
Easily. I have. Yeah. If we have time, I can show you just real quickly.
Yeah, sure.
So I use an iPhone. And if you're all designers, I assume all of you use an iPhone as well. And I use an iPad as well. And those are extremely. So it will tell me what's under my finger, or I can do these different kind of touch gestures, even with 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, or 4 fingers, and depending on which way I swipe, how many times I tap the screen, or what kind of things I do on the screen, it will do different things. So let's open Safari. And sorry, I tried to. Just gonna take the Wi-Fi off since I tried to go to Ixonos Wi-Fi. So here's CNN, and I can use this rotor kind of gesture with 2 fingers. This is headings, otsikot, but let's
English, US.
Let's put it in English.
47
and
headings.
47 headings, and I just swipe down.
South Koreans mock Trump's Armada bluff. Heading: Trump's claim of sending Armada equated with North Korea's fake. China criticizes N. Korea. Analysis: Spicer's warship debacle. N. Korean nuclear test site now. Ellipsis.
Double
N.
tap.
Luke Etiquette Twabasa.
And it will upload that.
Visited. Link: North Korean nuclear test by. Updated 1 tap. A satellite image showing end quote. Probable volleyball game end quote. Seen at the main administrative area of North Korea and number 39. S. Pungai story highlights. Satellite images show what appears to analysis. After readying a
So that's how I use it. If I would like to. There's a message that Veikko sent me.
Veikko Savioki, moikka. En ehkä ehdi ihan varttia vaille meidän toimistolle, mutta kollegani Matti Kilponen on vastassa, jos en ole itse paikalla. VEXI 16.
And if I would like to
iMessage, tekstikenttää.
reply to VEXI,
Pistä syöttö näytöllä. Vaaka oikealle.
I'm using Braille. Moi, VIIKKO, huutomerkki, exclamation mark. Miten menee, kysymysmerkki, OLTKO, oletko, NAITTUNUT, no, sorry, ESITEK, SYSESTÄ.
Kysymysmerkki, esityksestä, väärin kirjoitettu.
Sorry, that was a typo. Maybe I'm a bit nervous. Oletko nauttinut
väli, tästä, kysymysmerkki, väli, 6, iso I, N, U, L, väli, O, N, väli, O, L, L, U, T, väli, K, I, A, kaksois,
And if I would like to add an emoji, it will tell me all the emojis and what's under.
Hymiöt ja ihmiset. Vauvaenkeli. 220. Neuvonta.mies.
Neuvonta.mies information guy. Vauvaenkeli. Baby angel.
Neuvonta.mies. Jonka ihonväri. Neuvonta.mies. Jonka ihonväri on. Neuvonta.mies. Jonka ihonväri on. Valitse ihon sävy. Neuvonta.väinen. 230. Smokkipukuinen mies. 200.
Smokkipukuinen mies. A man with a tux.
Kolsina tulossa. Vauvaenkeli. 2. Smokkipukuinen mies. Valitse ihon sävy. Smokkipukuinen mies. Valitse ihon. Lähetä. Smokkipukuinen mies. Smokkipukuinen mies. Lähetä.
Excellent.
Lähetä.
So it's lähetä, send, and now it's sent to VEXI. So to answer your question again, easy. So. And I might add actually that at some cases people usually might ask me about privacy issues, since obviously if I use the phone like this, everybody can hear what I'm doing and even see. Well, no problem. I can put it like this, so you're not able to see anything. And I typically use a Bluetooth speaker on my ear, and use the phone like this. And when I'm on a bus, and if you see me there, don't think I'm crazy or anything if I'm going like this or like this all the time on the bus. I'm actually doing not necessarily something smart, but at least I'm doing something, sending messages or reading my emails or reading the news or doing something like that. So.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank
you.
you.
Do you use Siri or stuff like that at all?
Actually,
Siri or like voice control?
Quite rarely, actually, or every day. But well, Siri is it's not. Yeah, she or he is weird, but it's not meant for controlling the user interface as such. It's an assistant, and as an assistant, I use Siri too. Hey Siri, wake me up at 7.
Your 7 a.m. alarm is on.
So that's the way I use Siri, since I'm just, when I go to bed, I may be quite lazy or something like that, and I don't want to grab the phone and unlock it and open the clock app and putting the alarm there, just saying, hey Siri, blah, blah, blah. Seems much more convenient for me. And some other small tasks like that I may ask Siri to do, but nothing else. And as I mentioned, Siri is an assistant. It's not meant for controlling the user interface as such. So, yeah, I use Siri, but not that much.
Can I comment?
Yeah, sure.
My mom uses iPhone and she's also visually impaired, so she uses the voice control to call people, so she tells Siri to call a person. And it actually works pretty well in Finnish as well. And then her text messages, she says, send a message, and then she speaks the message, and then Siri repeats the message and asks, do I send it now? And then she says yes, and then it sends the message.
Yeah, that's actually what I do as well. I call people, but I don't send messages through Siri. I send messages through the Messages app normally, even typing those with Braille, as I showed you, or I could... Oh, Veikko just sent me a message, hienosti menee. I use the dictation. Hei Veikko, huutomerkki. Minulla on tällä hetkellä kivaa, piste. Miten sinulla menee, kysymysmerkki.
Lisättiin, hei Veikko, minulla on tällä hetkellä kivaa. Miten sinulla menee? Lähetä. Veikko kirjoittaa. Viesti vastaanotettu. Lähettäjä. Veikko 19.03. Veikko Savioki. Virnistävät kasvot. Hampaat yhteen purtuina. 19.
Virnistävät kasvot. Hampaat yhteen purtuina. Great. So, any more questions? But thank you, Katarina. Was it Katarina?
Yes.
Thank you, Katarina, for your comment.
So just one more in terms of design, usability, and so on. How often, let's say, do you get to be you are asked to sort of help with design in the initial phase rather than test the usability of the system, which is sort of in the final phase?
Both, but I would like that. Probably, yeah, would have more in the initial stage. It's typically taken into account at the very last stage. I mean, the accessibility and you as designers and usability experts, that I assume that a lot of you are. Well, it's probably not the best idea to first make the design and first code, program everything and do everything, and then somehow add usability to the whole design in the last stage. Anything else?
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to proceed. We have one more great speaker, but it was really great discussion. And if you want to talk more with Tapio, please feel free during the breaks and after this presentation, we will also have more time. So thank you, Tapio, once again.
Thank you very much. And please come and talk to me. I like talking to people.
So now let's have 5 minutes technical break, and we will continue with Andrea and her presentation. Please come back soon.
Sulla on oman adapteri, ota tuossa kaiutin. Joo. Kohta. Was this yours?
No, but I will give it to Ellie back.
Okay, it was Ellie's.
Yes, we will not lose it.
Mikä tää on? Laturi.
Joo. Kiitos viestittelystä.
Mä en tiedä, että noi emojit on niin kuin sanotettavissa. Että...
Joo.
Сейчас я
Laitoin kolakasta tyrkkäystä pois päin sekä.
Okei.
Tässä tulee kolinaa.
Tyrkkari.
Tyrkkäri.
Tyrkkari.
If you need anything.
Amplifier.
Amplifier. Tyrkkari.
Amplifikaattori.
Batari.
Fine.
Taisit lähteä. Tai meni jonnekin.
Okei.
Pitää muistaa laittaa vaan pois päälle.
Katari. Se on kysytty.
Ei, kiitos hyvästä kommentista. Mä en muistanutkaan.
Joo.
Kyllähän mä sitäkin käytän jatkuvasti.
Niin. Joo, no mä olisin, että melkein tästä myötä, että äiti kyllä välillä myös kiroilee sille puhelimelle se perkele. Aina ei toimi ihan niin hyvin.
Siri osaa kommentoida siihenkin kiroiluun.
Aika hyvin se on oppinut silleen just, että mun veljenkin nimi on Santtu, niin kun se aluksi oli vähän vaikea, kun sanoit, että soita Santulle, niin kyllä se on senkin oppinut sitten, että nyt se osaa. Että aika jännää.
No niin. Ei sit sulle ollut niin paljon, mutta toivottavasti.
No oikeastaan kyllä tuossa silleen tuli, että ei kuitenkaan ihan niin kuin vieressä ole istunut äitin vieressä, kun se tulee, mutta just toi on niin tutun kuulosta just toi, kun toi voiceover, niin tuolta tulee toi Japsi puhuu sieltä.
Sorry, we will present. Kiitos. Okay, so this is the HTML.
Yeah, we are in time. That's incredible. Usually everything takes time.
Well, in a couple of seconds.
You need help?
No, I'm just thinking what should happen first.
Okay. Looks good.
Yeah, we had the.
Do you need sound?
Yeah, I will use
okay.
yes, but we check it so it should work. It should work. Yes.
Okay, but just tell me or maybe Vexi or somebody if you need help.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes, thanks. Great.
I will bring people in a couple of minutes.
No, I just think we need to sort of add this to our testing. So
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think then we so focus on
how are you? You're gonna speak. Long time no see.
How are you? Are you thinking here?
No, I'm Are you still at Oliver? No. Okay. I guess we'll hear soon. Looking forward.
How are you?
You hear about the text,
See it, yeah. Just check it.
I mean, it's sort of like when you always hear
Check things.
So what are you
Yeah, I'm gonna tell a lot
here in Helsinki? Okay, nice. And it's
Then there's this level of like separation between
I said if I could use that one, which is a little bit so practical, that I could do it. Otherwise, I didn't have time. So that's
you
why
okay? Did you
I
sprain your ankle?
Yes.
Okay.
Walking strong. Yeah. But I think I should improve a little bit too much today.
Yeah, and
Feeling
you
it a little bit.
put it up a little
Yeah.
bit, or at least above your heart, so that yeah. I'm tired, but interesting. Are you nervous?
Much, but I just hope it's not very practical.
Give it a listen.
People don't get bored.
Sorry?
I hope people don't get too bored. I'll try to make it fast.
No problem, that's fine. And then after that, I think we straight away will have a panel discussion.
Yeah.
So like very short one, and then we are done, so we can relax. Because of course it's very like topic is very intense and like heavy in a way, especially if you think about all those details. So, yes, I will do.
Okay, everyone, please take a seat. We will continue with the last presentation. And then we will have a short panel discussion where we can more interact and discuss about everything that we have heard and everything that we want to share. So please take a seat, take a drink.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we can start.
Yes. Okay, so because it's very late and I also feel a little bit, I'll ask you all if you can put your hands one in the opposite korva, or what is it called this in English? Now I forgot even my English. Ear, and then you rub them gently. That my choir director says that it helps, it keeps you awake I feel, and increases your. Come on, Sagros, don't be shy. Rub your ears. It's very good. It's very good. It increases the circulation, and so now you're all with me. So I'm gonna start making a first disclaimer, because my talk is not going to be as pragmatically useful as the previous two ones, which I think were very great, and thank you very much for the two other speakers for that. This is one, it's kind of like a reappropriation of a talk I have already been given before in another occasion with a similar type of theme. So I'm excuse if anybody of you have already seen it. I think in the beginning I saw a couple of people that were in that occasion then. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of new content, but not so much, because I'm kind of covering also for someone that had to cancel at the same time. So I agreed to do that if I could recycle this this talk, which is a little bit probably, I don't know if more philosophical or less, at least less pragmatically helpful than the previous two ones. But I hope you bear with me. So my name is Andrea. So I usually want to tell who I am and from where I'm talking, so you know where some of these thoughts come. So I grew up and I studied in the periphery of the majority world. That would be Colombia. And I have been studying, working, and doing research in the periphery of the hyperdeveloped world. That means Finland, for a couple of years. I used to be very, very good at doing cardboard stuff. My portfolio had a lot of furniture with cardboard and packaging. I don't do that anymore. That was previous life. I'm quite happy with doing more digital stuff for a little bit more than a decade already, and I'm okay with that. Today I work with two other colleagues on a small design consultancy office here in Helsinki. I used to work as a researcher at Aalto for many years. I did my PhD there, but now I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, so that's me. And the theme of today was design for all and inclusion. And when I was first asked to say something about the theme, I wanted to, of course, first check some of the facts. What do people refer as to inclusion? So I went to check the 2004 Stockholm Declaration for Universal Design, which I think it's a very important document, and everybody who has not read it should go and check it and read it and familiarize with the topics. So because we are in this type of world today, it is our responsibility to base our designs on the principles of inclusion, and I think the previous talks have made this very clear. There are a lot of guidelines and research and a need for these kinds of things that we cannot ignore. We just have to be familiar with them. But I want to also think a little bit beyond those, which are very important, and I think we cannot, we cannot not do them anymore. But I just want to look a little bit closer to this idea of inclusion, because it has also all kinds of very slippery connotations as a term. And I will try to do this through the ideas of participation and collaboration, because that's more my turf. I have done a lot of research of how you organize, sustain, and when does it make sense to have participatory and collaborative design processes with all kinds of people. That's more like me than design for all or inclusion. So I'm going to talk about inclusion and some of these examples through this idea of participation and collaboration, because it's a little bit closer to what I know. So I have shamelessly borrowed this image from some image that was doing the rounds in social media some time ago, just to remind myself what is actually inclusion. So the first am I supposed to talk at this microphone? But then I'm sorry, I'm Colombian. So the first one is exclusion, and that's kind of, you exclude whomever doesn't conform to what you think you should be doing, and kind of ignore them. You can, of course, segregate, like the Nazis did, put them on a ghetto. So you somehow address them, but don't look them. You can integrate people. So you can say, oh, you come here, we do a little round specially for you. Close to us, but not so much. And inclusion, as a term, challenges this other term more to say, okay, well, you actually should, being inclusive means you just take us with whatever that means, which is easier said than done, as we have seen in the previous talks. Inclusion, of course, it's, like I said, easier said and done, because we are all kinds of bodies, and even in between our own similarities, we're all very different. So including something or someone always mean excluding something else, because it's complicated. And I guess the issue has a lot to do less with the bubbles and the shapes of who we are and where we are, and more to do with the borders of the thing and how we define for what we are doing the thing. So it's not so much about the people, but about the borders. And I've been thinking about this idea that I think would still need to add a plural to this inclusion, because there needs to be kind of probably many inclusions that needs to be done. Why? I'm been a little bit more aware of trying to question for myself when people talk about inclusion or design for all or these kind of terms, for how those concepts like inclusion or design for all are mobilized, and for whom mobilizing this concept is doing the work. Is it just to get more funding? Is it just to, what is those terms doing when these projects are called? And what is the directionality of inclusion? So is it me? I'm mostly an able body, not this week because I have a small exoskeleton here because I fell down and I had to, but I'm still mostly an able person, very much aware that I'm a woman, a little bit light skin, though in some contexts I'm called a Latina, and I'm supposed to be a little bit more ethnic. Is it me trying to include somebody, or is somebody trying to include me in something? What is the directionality of the thing, and who has the power to decide, am I included or should I include someone? Who gets to define who is included, and that's what I think that this S is important. And because I don't have a lot of very practical, well, I have one practical example to show you. First, this is probably the biggest or the most comprehensive accessible, usable project, I've been somehow involved. I've been part of this Naisten Linja, or Women's Line. It's an organization, a small NGO that works with women that have somehow encounter issues of violence, mostly under domestic violence, but anyway, violence against women. And they have gotten, or they got a couple of years ago, a grant to make sure their website was accessible. So I've been part of the board consulting or helping them think about through these new services. I wasn't implementing, but I follow very closely the development of the site, and I think I could say that it's you're not looking, you're not seeing it. That's very interesting. Sorry, I thought you were looking at it. That it is, there are still a lot of problems. That is quite a nice example of properly done, a very visual site that has a lot of content also in sign language, and that learned a lot through following this the challenges, because through the process of implementing the new website as an organization, Naisten Linja, or Women's Line, was also very much trying to think how could they make their services available for more women. There's a lot of, for example, disabled or differently abled women that can't not call to the phone line, which is the basic service that Naisten Linja provides. So it's my practical example, and if you have time later on, you can go and check the website and try some of the solutions they come up with. It's not perfect, but I think it does a quite good job. But I'm gonna now show you some examples to raise probably some ideas. The first one is a small video. I'm going to show you only 2-3 minutes of this clip, and it's called Unlearning Sound Etiquette. Anybody knows the work of Christine Sundkim? Not familiar. So you'll learn about her in these 3 minutes that I'm going to show you. And if I'm able to get my let's check the sound. Oops. Is this working now? Should. The demo effect, sorry. It's coming. Is it? I'm gonna reload this just in case. Yeah, okay. Is it in the beginning or not? Yep, okay. Is it coming? Is it working or not? Then I'll have just to tell you about the video. It's a nice video. So now is the time when I look at the north and pray to the gods. That it worked. It doesn't seem to be loading.
Maybe switch off the HD option.
Here?
There. If you put it like a little bit smaller, maybe it knows better.
Oh, it's not like.
I think if you reload and then start from the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I did. Let's check.
You know, I've been given a lot of problems lately.
I check it when we came.
Or try, I don't know, because it's...
Well, if it doesn't work, I tell you about the video, and then you get the link.
Maybe you can try on Chrome.
Huh?
If you try it in Chrome.
Wait a second. That's the last try we'll do, and if it doesn't work, I'm good at improvising.
Okay, we have a...
Let's take a look. It's there. So first, let's adjust the display.
Now some magic is needed.
Now some magic.
Actually a good creative technologist and
Very
hacker. So
Be careful.
be careful when you
You have your phones close to you.
we have this rule: never give your phones or any devices to Aka.
But I think you can copy paste the. I just have copied the link in the clipboards.
Okay, it's this one.
This one.
Okay, let's have a try. I am not sure. Maybe this is.
Because the page
We get
loads.
offline somehow.
It looks like okay. This is working here.
Or is it just very slow? Check the sound.
Is the sound on or not?
It should be.
Yes,
Yeah.
the sound.
Now can you put it full screen?
Full screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Sorry, is anybody here not able to see? Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna. You're seeing a young woman going out from her house. She just put makeup on, and she's probably going out on the street. And now she's in the streets. And she's continue walking. And now she takes a device from her purse and crouches in the floor and looks like a sound recorder. So she's recording sounds in the street. Taking some notes at the same time. And now she crosses the street. And now we see her inside. So she's signing. I'm Christine Kim. She's in a studio and there's a lot of stuff in the floor. While growing up, I constantly questioned the ownership of sound. People who have access to sound naturally own it and have it. There were all these conventions for what was proper sound. They would tell me, be quiet, don't burp, don't drag your feet, make loud noises. I learned to be respectful of their sound. I saw sound as their possession. Now I am reclaiming sound as my property. So she has all kinds of speakers and things that make noise in the floor, and she has lots of electronics. She's just taken the speakers she took. She has put a lot of little objects on top of the speakers and is making noise with them. And moving the knobs of a mixer. I didn't fully internalize or master any language because I didn't have full access to one. Growing up, communicating with my parents, we're trying to learn English
and sign language at the same time. It was confusing because I was getting fragments. I had ideas I wanted to express but couldn't. It was so frustrating. I felt like my voice was being suffocated. Literally choked. And I was boxed in my language constraints. It's a beautiful video. I'll suggest you all go and see it because if I show it all, we won't have time. And I don't have time for my rant, so I'll continue my rant. And then you get the URL later and you can go and check, or you can just Google on learning sound etiquette by, it's a nice, so in the video you would see Kristin on learning sound etiquette. She's a visual artist, deaf herself, and most of a lot of her work has to do with using sound her own way. Sounds that she makes, the scapes she makes are very weird for your for somebody that hears a proper understanding of what sounds are for. But I also think that she explores how to make sound visible for herself in many other ways. And you see a lot of the stuff she creates, it just makes sound move and sees in very interesting and peculiar ways. And I find it very inspiring. And if you go and check the whole piece is 10 minutes, I'm sure you liked also. My second example, it's the Accessible Icon project. It's a little bit oldish project by now by Sarah. It started originally by Sarah Hendren and Brian Glinny. This is a picture of an intervention they have done with the Accessible Icon project icon in a reserved parking place, which displays the original or the most iconic icon of accessibility, the wheelchair that we see. So the Accessible Icon project is a project they started to check again or to reinvent the accessible icon differently. They thought or they claimed that visual language also makes the world in which we are. It has power, and even though the international symbol of access, it's a landmark, and we have done a lot of things with them. They thought that the icon puts much more emphasis on the wheelchair than on the actual person. On the wheelchair, the person is sitting in a somehow too straight position, and it implies that somebody is actually moving that person, and the person has no agency herself. So they did this intervention in 2012. Their icon now is in the public domain and in the collection of MoMA as well. Here's a little bit more closer look to the graphic proposal. In this icon, the wheelchair user it's slightly bend, and the arms are kind of actually pushing the wheelchair. The head is forward to indicate the motion of the person. There's there's a little bit of the logic, or their logic behind the icon, but I want you to pay attention to two things: the use of the word stencil in here. These knockouts also work for creating stencils. Why do you think the word stencil is mentioned here?
Is it to replace, like the...
Actually, they think that the icon is just a starting place, and it's more a seed of conversations about accessibility and inclusion and rights. And what they have done with it is that they make a project out of it. So the project is not about having designed the new icon, but actually doing interventions with people and the icon in public space. That's why it's also done so that you could do it with stencils and go outside on the streets and intervene accessible spaces with the icon. They have documented stencil extensively instructions for how you could do, what kinds of paintings, what kinds of things, how you actually could pull up a community and have them join together to go and do an intervention out on the street. So the thing is not just the icon, it's what you do with the icon. How do you mobilize it to have discussions and to have things about accessibility with the icon? But it's been designed for that from the beginning. That's my second little example. And I'll go now to the third. I have 4. And I go back to other definitions. Design for, okay, sorry, just to complement that, this idea of inclusion in here, it's a little bit more sophisticated than just let's include something or make something inclusive. Because the things that are mobilized are more than just something. The second one I wanted to spend a little bit time in here is this definition, again from the same Stockholm Declaration, which defines what design for all is. Now, when I was reading it, I pay attention to 2 things. It says, in short, everything that is designed and made by people to be used by people. And this idea of people kept on resonating for me for some time, and I didn't know why until afterwards. That year I was attending a conference on participatory design, and I was in a session where a colleague from Australia was presenting this very interesting work they are doing on. The paper was called Collaborative Extension of Biodiversity Monitoring Protocols in the Bird Watching Community. Basically what they were doing is they've been developing these sound sensors that they were putting on all around Australia to record bird sounds. And they were enlisting bird watchers to work with researchers to identify the sounds of the birds they hear, so that they could locate where the birds are living, because you can't just have so many bird watchers. If you have sensors and the sound artificial intelligence algorithms don't work so much that they will know all the birds. So they were doing this kind of mixture with the bird watchers and the sensors and researchers to identify birds, because it was about conservation. And at some point on the conversation, and because we're talking about participatory design, so how you get the bird watchers involved and how you get the researchers involved, somebody asked that, but how do the birds get involved? And I thought, yes, this is the people in here that kind of bother me. Is it only about people? Or if we stretch this idea of inclusion even further, should we just not include more things? Should the birds here be somehow included? Because anyway, it's about protecting their environment. At the same time, I have just visited Belgium for another work trip, and I visited this manor near Hasselt. It's an old manor, and I noticed these 2 doors, and here and I asked the owner, what are they? And he told me, oh, those are bird doors. So this is the back part of that wall, so you could open, and they had birds from the vicinity that once in a while come to the manor and they enter through those little doors in the wall into the manor, and this was a space of an artist, so she had there like her sculptures, but she was very happy that the birds could come in the winter and stay there. So I thought that there is, of course, a long history of interspecies collaborations. We as humans have been working with dogs and horses and pigeons and whatever thing, and there are some design for all ideas in there as well. So I went to look at, and I find, well, there's actually some people thinking, oh, is there such a thing as a bird-friendly city? And what does it look like? And what does it not look like? And why to bother? So yes, it seems that it is some kind of thing for some people. Can we make, for example, cities more bird-friendly? Somebody had these conversations, at least in 2015. But of course, it's also complicated, because in the same search, I also found this other project from Australia. There's a movement to ban cats in New Zealand, because it turned out cats like the domestic animals, are very bad for native bird populations in New Zealand. They practically made extinct a lot of birds, and there is a campaign, so we should just ban cats from New Zealand. We can't, if there's that many cats, we're gonna get out of birds. So is it the design for the birds or for the cats? It's a little bit as complicated as when we think some of the issues that you have to juggle when you are thinking on your websites. One of our colleagues here was asking, if you get the proper font size, then it is. I've also heard that, for example, in the streets, the bumps and the textures of the pavement that are very good aids for visually impaired people actually can cause discomfort and problems for people with a wheelchair that had to go to the same kind of surfaces. So everything is a little bit complicated, but it cannot be impossible. And that's when I go to my last example, which let's pray all to the all gods that the second video worked. This is also a small clip from another video. It's called Examined Life, and it features Judith Butler and Sonata Taylor. Does anybody here knows who's Butler? Judith Butler? There's one, two. And Sonata Taylor? Well, so for your benefit, so that you would understand the context of these 2-minute clips, I'll tell you that Judith Butler is quite famous in that her own circle, probably, feminist philosopher. She's been very famous because she's been written a lot about social justice. Queer feminism is her thing. She's a lesbian. And been working a lot through feminism and the ways sexism works, which I think has a lot to learn and to give with this issue of ableism and difference. So that's Judith, and then Sonata Taylor. She is an artist and activist. She also happens to move through a wheelchair. So you're gonna see them. This is a series, an interview made in 2008 from a series where big philosophers are being interviewed. There were 8, I think, half are women, half are men. But from that series, this is the only series where the big philosopher is not alone, but it's with someone. Now I'm gonna show you a little clip about that, if
if it works. Did we get it working in Safari or in the?
You can try. YouTube works.
Okay. I'll try with this one. Okay, this was better. But I'm gonna spare you the big discussion because it's quite which was the minutes I wanted. So wait, I'll have to check if the it's 6:25. So they're working in Judith and Senara are walking through San Francisco and the Mission District while they talk.
Demand help simply because, in my opinion, help is something that we all need, and it's something that is looked down upon and not really taken care of in this society when we all need help, and we're all interdependent in all sorts of ways. Should we stop and get me something warm?
They are gonna get into a vintage shop because Sunara feels cold now, so they're going to a small shop.
Yeah, I think they'd probably fall off my shoulders.
And they are trying out a sweater.
Well, I guess we could try it on.
But it's very difficult for her to get into the dressing room, so the philosopher is helping her to put the sweater on. It's a little bit awkward, but they are making it. They're managing.
I like it. It's stylish.
It's very stylish.
Okay.
It's kind of, sporty and fancy.
It's gonna be a new show, Shopping with Judith Butler.
For the queer eye.
Maybe I can just get it while wearing it.
Hi. We put the sweater on.
Yeah, so
we just
I'm
want to
actually
buy
wearing
it.
this one that I'm wearing.
So it's by weight.
Oh, it's by weight?
Yeah,
Can we
I
guess?
could probably just do it for $4.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
Here you go.
Maybe leave the bills first and then do the Oh, I just meant to. Yeah, I just can't hold both at the same time. There you go. Thanks so much.
I think gender and disability converge in a whole lot of different ways. But one thing I think both movements do is get us to rethink what the body can do.
You should go and check the whole video. It's a very interesting conversation. I would just leave it with this at this point, so you'll get a taste. I just want you to point out to three things. First, the moment where I just finished, when she says they help us to rethink what a body can do. So the point was not to think what a body should do or how should we be, but what a body can do. So not just so much disabilities as different abilities. The other thing that strikes me particularly from this segment is how an issue of interdependence comes quite, I think, at the forefront. They come to this shop, they have put on the sweater, and they find out when they're gonna pay that they actually charge by weight. So after the whole trouble to get it on, the system, which only works by weight, they both look at, oh well, we put it on, and Butler says, can we guess? And the clerk is, flexible enough to say, yeah, but just let's do it for $4. So under some other circumstances would it have been mean that you have to take it out and put it on the weight and get another one. So that flexibility. And then the second one, when she asks, can you give me first the bills and then the coins? And it took her a second, or to the clerk, to understand that what she actually meant is not that she wanted them in a particular order, but she cannot hold them at the same time because her hand is smaller than normally. So in here, and then she also talks about that later in the interview, this idea that we are all interdependent, and there's for all these things to work, I mean for all, it means that we all have to do a lot of work. So it's not only the person with the different ability who wants to be included, but it's also others who need to do a little bit of the work to get the thing to work. So it also means, putting the alt texts there, thinking on the structure of the website, because it's not that we are able, anybody of us, none of us is able to do anything on our own, and we should probably understand that a little bit more seriously, that unless everybody puts a little bit of effort, we don't get the thing to work at all for anybody. And where is my slide? So, trying to do something with that mindset, I guess, means that we have to handle things with a lot of care. And that would be my design principles summarized. First, the speaker talk very much about why should we care. I think we should care in deep ways for the many reasons you mentioned before, and for many others. That we should recognize the interdependence and the work that everybody has to do to get the thing working for everybody. We should also recognize our privileges and check on them once in a while. What are you able to do that some others are not? Because it's not only about disabilities, but different abilities. And it's not just individuals, but some are systemic. And then we should try to become more, or work more like allies and not like saviors of somebody else. And with that, I finish. Thank you very much.
We have time for a couple of questions, if there are any. So please.
Usually no, because I was like, this is so weird.
We can also
not so practical. I'm sorry, I don't have any guidelines better than those.
No, but this was very insightful, and I have to say, from my own perspective, I was telling before, when we decided to organize this event, that I was particularly interested because I didn't really work much about with accessibility or inclusive design. But this is so much eye-opening, because even in your everyday design, you kind of have to consider so many things. But then, this type of events, they kind of twist. You see more. You understand, oh, actually, yeah, I actually did something like that, but I did not consider these aspects, for example. So it's it comes. It might because I think really today, it was quite topic is heavy, we have to say, there are so many technical things you have to consider. But for me, at least that's my own experience, it twists later. I have to, sleep with it. And then it's oh, yes, that was. But before we sleep with it, maybe let's have a short panel discussion. This is something we wanted to have, in order to finish it, because there are so many different talks and different approaches. So we invited a few more people for this panel discussion. So maybe we should have it straight away. Let's make it very short, so then we can relax and just mingle around. Let's put chairs. We need 5 chairs.
Mariana.
And then-
I will offer to carry one, but I'm not gonna do it now.
No, I think we have enough. Yes.
Today I feel like I just.
So.
We have to put the microphone somewhere there.
How can?
So we need a small table.
Okay.
Take this one.
Let's use this. So yes, please. We already asked our panelists to like in advance. So maybe instead of me presenting them, we make it in a way that we have already like 3 presenters today, but we have 2 more people joining. So maybe you two like introduce yourself, and then we can start like with the couple of questions. So, Marianne, maybe.
So I'm Mariana Salgado. I have been working for a long time in the university as Andrea. She's my colleague, by the way. And we are both starting together a company. So I have a background in design research, and I have been working especially with vulnerable populations. In the last year I worked with global health, so in developing countries, and before that I have been working with immigrants and undocumented immigrants and with different kind of groups. So I am not an accessibility expert, but I can tell that, I can tell something about how it is to work with some other groups of people that we normally don't encounter.
Hi, I'm Inatan Caleb. I'm a senior service designer at Accenture. I have been working predominantly the past few years for predominantly major clients that have dealt with across a lot of different fields. But I began my design career at Frog Design, where I was exposed a lot to using service design methodologies, a user-centric approach to actually having social impact across predominantly, mostly within certain disadvantaged communities, and also in Africa, South Africa, I should say. And then for the past few years, it's been predominantly attempting to begin a conversation around the value of diverse work teams, diverse and inclusive work teams, as well as within leadership, within corporate organizations, to better understand. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I guess there's a lot of people. Usually I'm not nervous. I'm just like, but yeah, thanks. That's the second time again. Yeah. So basically, like I've been discussing a lot with my team around the value and the importance of diversity and inclusion within our design teams, and also spearheading that within corporate environments, and having everybody at the table in order to actually create meaningful experiences and services that matter.
Great, thank you very much. And well, I had few questions, but like if we have some question from the audience, we can start from that. So please, if you have any questions you would like to ask from the panelists. Okay, maybe I start. Because I would like to break this awkward silence.
We can start to ask questions to the audience.
That's
So if you don't ask.
Yeah, well, again, like today, like for me personally, this event was very good, like very eye-opening. And maybe just to summarize, or kind of sum up all this knowledge that we have, can you come up with some, maybe few elements, like why accessibility design and why inclusive design? Like, for example, you, Mariana, maybe you're not like confident.
Well, but I think maybe the answer is too simple, but is to make a better world. I mean, I believe that we have to design for all. So, as Andrea was pointing to, design for not only for the humans, but also for other organisms, and that only just to take into account a lot of different humans, that's already a big task. So I think this is our possibility as designers to do a work that aligns with our own values. For example, I mean, if we are a scientist we might be able to invent a vaccine, but we are able to we are able to design a system to make that accessible for all. So it's our social responsibility. It's what we are supposed to be doing. So, for me, the answer is as simple as that. I don't find another one.
And build on that by saying for all, it's also including our family members, our friends, and all of us who are or one day may actually come across the challenges a lot of other people may come across. And one quote, there's this amazing person by the name of Haben Girma, and she wrote that, and this is a quote, she goes, "Communities that celebrate diversity will find ways to be inclusive. They will adapt strategies to make sure that everyone can participate and be involved." And I think that's so powerful because by involving everybody across all the different types of backgrounds, across gender, across sexual orientation, ethnic, ageism, or those who we would say suffer from disabilities, that just ensures that we offer everything we can to have everybody on the same equal footing.
That's great. That's actually a very good description.
Well, something I think we didn't tackle a lot, and is the difference in digital literacy. So I have been trying to work with immigrant communities also because the level of digital literacy within certain types of immigrants is very different, and this is not the normal people who we test or who we create new concepts. So it's also something to take in consideration. It's not only about the age and the disability or ability or the special needs, but also the digital literacy in what we work is fundamental, and I haven't heard a lot about that.
I have a question. Where do you see that Finland is different from the rest of the world? Or how does it stand up in terms of inclusive design? Myself, I'm an immigrant and I see a lot of differences, but how do you see, from your point of view, what is Finland?
Well, it's a very homogeneous society, right? Like, it's very new for Finland to have a lot of immigration, and there's many reasons and historical reasons for that. So I think as designer, we have a much more of a responsibility to take that as our own initiative, because we might get out with designs for things, but we have to, for a normal stereotype person, so there is a little bit more of effort to do if we want to reach minorities.
I think I've been pretty lucky to have been involved in a project called Enter Finland, which was all about creating an e-service with the Finnish government, the Finnish Immigration Service, to build an online overall service that was geared towards immigrants such as myself that are coming from abroad, who are coming for a variety of reasons and want to contribute, either students or professionals, and not touching those who are coming in as political refugees, which is a completely separate use case. So that service was built for them, and when I say for them, it was in conjunction with so many team members who are quite aware of the importance of actually bringing in people and actually helping them become integrated and contributing. But the best part was incorporating actual users who have used the service to actually test our designs. And also within the design team, it was myself who immigrated here 6 years ago and went through a horrendous process in order to actually come here and work here, in terms of applying online and going through God knows where, at the police station and so forth. But they understood that, and they knew that me and another team member who's from Germany, there's a richness when you actually incorporate those who you're trying to design for. And so I think doing that means incorporating everybody in order to enrich what you're designing for, in order to reach those you really, and having a meaningful experience for those people.
And I must say I have used the service,
and I put for my daughter, you know, like time, and then I went there, but to make sure, it was so easy to use, that to make sure I printed everything, so I could have the papers as well. So I went with the papers, just in case. So I went with the papers, with this like appointment, like they call in the right time and everything. It's like, it took, I think, maybe 5 minutes to her. It's like, it's everything, right? You have everything here. And I was like, what is papers?
Maybe
they will get papers. So I was like, no, it's everything, right? Just come, it's okay. I was like, come on, let's do this.
Something wrong, it's too
Something went wrong. I was like really weird. I had this weird sensation that, okay, I have to check if everything is going wrong. It's really cool.
I'm just to point out something. I remember the graphic that you put, that you had these 4 graphics.
Yeah.
And there was one with a circle, and inside there was a circle where the people that were different belonged to the circle. In my very humble personal experience 6 years ago was that
it's integration.
It was that integration. So to me, that's still something that it bothers me, and I see a lot more happening nowadays with the immigration and with all the violence and all the things that happen to Europe, and it's happening a lot. Do you think that, from our perspective, what could be the things that we could push further? Though I don't believe, I'm very pessimistic in the sense, I don't believe that the circle is going to be break at all, but at least we can make some doors that some people can escape or take a look outside what it is. What can we do from that point of view as designers? And that's your expertise, I guess. Or the public, what do you think? What can we do?
It's a very big question.
Yeah, that's true. Because
just to make some doors, like drill some holes.
Because it's about also, of course, like actually I wanted to ask about the challenges before that, but then it's very obvious that it's not easy. This inclusive design, like, and even like making this transparent, it's not easy. But how? That's actually a very good question. Like how would you, like, maybe with the small steps, but how you can change it? How would you make it better? Like your example, Jonathan, is very good, like with this, and you're like the practical.
I was sitting next to him when we were doing the service, by the way.
Okay.
So I knew that was the same service.
So it's a very good example, but how do you manage? Does it need to be, like, again, referring to your example, I see this more as like a co-creation, so that the people, the organization that wanted to do it, so they have to be open enough to kind of bring the other side. But what would you see more than that? Like, is it like just enough? Because we can see the other examples. For example, from my own experience, I worked with some public sector when the government really wanted to help immigrants, and they were open, but at the end it did not work because of the other bureaucracies at the later stages, when they, so do you
I think it's a multi-prong approach. I don't mean to jump in.
No, sorry.
No, because I was saying it's one thing to bring people in, but it's another thing to help them completely integrate. It's a two-stage effort. It's the person who's coming in who also has a responsibility to integrate and contribute and adapt, but it's also the part of the society to welcome and also to go through the entire process. So having someone come in who can actually contribute is part one. Second part is integrating them through that entire process. I mean, how much investment is the government willing to make? And I remember from your project, which I wish we had worked together, because there is it's one thing to open the door, but it's another thing to help the person walk through that process and not close the door behind them, and just continuing to help them through all the stages of complete and true integration.
I comment on that actually by telling just when we started, or I was part of the kind of small group of people who started this IxDA thing in 2008, and it actually started from somebody realizing that there's all these designers in these kind of very isolated islands in Helsinki who don't know anything about each other. They're from all over the world. So I think like one way to do something about it is to kind of like keep this thing that we have here the ball rolling and doing your effort and trying to figure out new ways of developing it, because I've heard so many stories of these. This actually works globally in the sense that designers who immigrate somewhere else, if they work in this field, the first thing that they check out is there an IxDA chapter, a local chapter there, and talked with so many different people over the years that who just come. They have very low, kind of like low threshold of, or we have low threshold of showing up and then like welcoming everybody to, kind of, if you're interested in this, just come. It's kind of a really nice, I haven't thought about it actually this way, but now that what Jonathan said about doing your, or the social group that you're supposed to integrate into doing their part, I think this is one way, like,
Just to be open and share.
Yeah.
Being
It is actually
having
one
this
of the
depth.
IxDA goals is to be inclusive.
But I mean, it can be something. Now this seems so kind of self-evident. If you've been into these meetups, you have these, but you have to think about what the situation was before. So there were a lot of people who came to work in Helsinki for a couple of years, and they hang out in their spare time with their colleagues, and you don't really get to know people easily, and this kinds of things. Small, a bit more, not boring, because these things are interesting, but simple in a sense.
And it's very true because this, I'm like an example of this, and I'm like part of this IxDA board. And then when I came to Finland, the first thing I did was to look at the IxDA chapter and see like, oh, what these designers are doing here in Finland. So it's really true what he's saying.
What we can do, because I also think I don't want to hijack the conversation so that it becomes about migration, designers migrating. So I think that it would be important to recognize that, and that's one of the things with like building alliances, because the problems, though they're not the same, they share issues with the problem of somebody that does not hear very well, or does not see very well. If you're a foreigner, you, in a way, don't hear very well. Certain kinds of things. So I think it would be more important to, identify these shared issues across things. So don't just concentrate on, now we're solving this problem, but make shared issues more visible across different things. That's definitely one. Make noise about them. Even though if you cannot affect them on your everyday projects, so you can just affect a little bit part of it. I think that making noise, because this is a multi-systemic thing. We need policies. We need so many other things that have nothing to do with design and everything to do with it at the same time. So unless we make some noise with things that it doesn't get changed. The other thing is just to be realistic, and I'm also as pessimistic as you are. That but it's the path that so many other things have had before. As women, we wouldn't be able to vote 100 years ago, and here we are voting. So the struggle or the struggles or the opening of the borders, it's a never-ending task, and that I think it's something to recognize. That's what I think there's also important to think about these multiple inclusions, because you have to do work at so many levels, and it's not gonna end ever. Next it's gonna be the birds. You see? So but if you feel that you cannot do anything, then well, just nothing happens. So if you're realistic and the thing will never end, well, just do one step at a time, and then the next day we'll have somebody that remembers that please do your headings right. And that would be a important contribution for the day. If tomorrow everybody goes there and does their headings right, at least that.
In terms of going back to the core subject of accessibility and usability, one thing I've realized, we live in a world now where it's predominantly as designers, it's mobile first, right? And there's this good point that's been brought about, usually in our projects, depending on what realm you're in, if you're working for major, large-scale projects, accessibility issues usually come in the end. So you take a design, you take a service, and you will adapt to it. You adapt. I've been spearheading some discussions, which was issues such as color blindness. There are more people who suffer color blindness than there are native English speakers in the world. So that's a massive amount of people who suffer from color blindness. So as designers, there's things that we can do. There's, we can use online tools that will give us all the right types of, in order to hit the right guidelines. We can check the kind of Pantone colors we're selecting, the colors, the font size, and the font width, and whatnot. How come we don't go with usability first? How come we don't go for that, and not per se that group of users, but why don't we look at it from that beginning? Why don't we use that as a starting point and then go forward? I've had this discussion with clients, and most of them are just like, yeah, that's interesting, but maybe we can get back to that later. But you have to, like you were saying, is to speak up and say, no, we should do this first. We should actually, because this actually is this is a group of people we can't just ignore. And we can't adapt, we can't give them a tenth of an experience that we're giving to everybody else.
Yeah, I agree with you, and but I also think that the one of the ways to do it is to include people in the design team that are not necessarily designers, and to give them, when we were, for example, working for global health, we were a lot working with medical doctors and nurses as part of our team. And what we didn't do is to give them the possibility to make real decisions, because otherwise everything goes in the shoulder of the designer. How much do you can articulate and defend in front of a client, but if you have this person coming with you to the meeting and then explaining why it's necessary to listen to the medical doctor or to listen to the colorblind person, that would help the designers, because I think not necessarily all designers know how to argument for getting the things done in the way they think is proper. So if we have these the non-designers in the team, and we create more participatory design in which other people with other backgrounds and other possibilities get into really having a say in the decision making, then we can go to more accessible design. That, in my opinion, this is the way that we should be pushing the...
But he already told us that the accessibility is usability.
Well, in my opinion, the way to do something accessible is through participatory design, and we should have the stakeholders, the different end users as part of our design teams, and give them the power of also making decisions, and not only having decisions done by designers, because otherwise we design on what we can argument. That is quite limited.
It's also sharing responsibility. If someone and sharing responsibility, having one person responsible for the design, the designer, it's like a lot of commitment from the designer. When you share responsibility with others, they think more, so they are more able to accept things that they should be counted.
Yeah, well, I'd like to chime in on basically a lot of that stuff should be baked in as part of our professional capabilities. We should consider those things as part of the design process early on. It's really hard to change an existing design, and you can't, basically like UX work or user-centered design, you can't do it after the fact. You have to take it into account early on. As a designer, recognize the concepts of ableism, recognize the concept of otherness, and try to do good user-centered design as a professional. instead of just like, you know, trying to create something impressive. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, because basically that's a really good point you raised, because subconsciously I know that when I'm designing, I am designing in a way for my community of people who are other designers. And I subconsciously am going to websites where I see others' designers' work, and I'm judging my designs on theirs. And subconsciously I'm like, am I designing this so that I can get a Red Dot Award? I know that about myself, you know? And it's, you want to do good work, but there is a little party that's like, oh, this has got to look better than her project or his project. And at the end of the day, you kind of lose focus on who are the people that really are going to be using it.
Yeah, I have an example on that many, many years ago, maybe 15, I designed a mobile phone for visually impaired people. And then when we did a lot of user research, and then they told us that for them, it was 15 years ago, right? So for them it was very important that the mobile phones are big enough that they could find them and that it's easier to manipulate. But so we did like a kind of a stick that was, I don't know, maybe something like that. And then we were extremely much criticized by the teachers who were designers, by everybody, because how come that we did something so big? Because the trend at that moment was to have smaller phones. So we did it completely wrong, and we couldn't, I mean, it was very hard to argument of like, look, we did what our user research have told us to do, like just a big one.
Years ahead of your time.
Did you win any awards?
No. We didn't even dare to send it to a competition because all our colleagues, they were like, oh, too big.
Like this conversation brings a lot of, you know, aspects. Like there are so many things that you have to consider. There are like when you think about the basic design, the like accessibility design, like I don't know, service design, whatnot design. Like there are so many things and so many layers to consider. So it's like, yeah, I'm really glad that today we have you here to introduce us accessibility and inclusive design, because I think it's like a starting point, because we talk much like beyond that even now, like during this panel discussion. So there are so many more things on top, behind, everywhere. So yeah, like it's like really great to have you here, and I think we should wrap up this event.
Can I give one comment?
Oh,
last comment.
Yeah.
I usually start with this quote. It may sound a bit corny, but bear with me. Good design enables, bad design disables. So, as a person, as a visually person myself, I'm typically considered to be disabled. However, if the website, such as the Google site that I was able to use quite effectively, efficiently, and quite pleasantly as well, that was designed, in my opinion, pretty good. And using that Google site, I didn't feel like I was disabled somehow. So it's actually the bad design that disables. So when I was using that other service, I felt a bit disabled. I knew that if I were able to see that better, I would be much more efficient to use that website. It would be much more pleasant for me. However, well, in Google's case, it was the good design that enabled. Yeah. So.
This is great quote, actually.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect, you know, line for the end of the event, because this is great. Yes. Thank you very much. So yes, we still have half an hour. So we have more drinks, more snacks, and please just come and talk if you want. Thank you so much. It was really great to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.